Welcome to your new SideQuest podcast with the intention of helping you through the game of life with mindful reframing and awareness as we all move through this journey called the human experience. It's time to level up. Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to your new SideQuest, the story we tell ourselves. This is Derek.
And this is Zach.
Today we are talking about our inner critic, the chatterbox, the wild horse in our minds that tells us stories and narratives of what things mean when shit happens. So, Zach, tell me about this inner voice in your head. What's your experience with it, and whether or not is it mostly encouraging or discouraging?
Yeah, so not to confuse hearing voices with schizophrenia, because that's a whole different, illness to talk about. But sometimes I personally have doubts whether or not I'm a partner worth or capable of being loved by someone else. And so in a previous podcast episode 3, so check that out, I give a whole backstory on a relationship that I had that was very short-lived. And this was a girl that I was dating who was from here in Hawaii. So I remember just shortly after our breakup, her text message that she sent was, "You deserve to be loved, but not by me."
Ouch.
And this hit me pretty hard because on one hand, she's saying that I'm worthy of love, but on the other, the message comes across as like, I'm not worthy of her love. And at first, the story I was telling myself was that I'm being rejected, I did something wrong, I don't deserve to be loved by her particularly because we had such a good connection. And for her to all of a sudden cut things off, it was, very, very disappointing. And I stepped back. And once I saw the bigger picture, I realized that the reason that it just didn't work out was because it wasn't the right timing. She wasn't the right person to date. And she left me because of her own emotional baggage. And that had nothing to do with me. That didn't say anything about my worth, who I am. And by the end of the day, I'm still the same person. I'm still the same person worthy of love, the same person she was attracted to. So her decision was mostly on her. So after reframing it, that was kind of how I was able to work through my own chatterbox. But Derek, what experiences have you had lately with that inner critic inside your head?
So I feel like inside my mind, mostly it's just like a bunch of running thoughts. And I don't know about you, but I feel like this is mostly everybody. The voice in your head is the voice of your own voice, right? Like it's your own voice in your head.
Yeah, it can be ugly. It can be like, very compassionate.
And even when I read, I feel like there's that voice, my voice, reading out loud in my head, right? But when things happen, a lot of the times that voice is telling me something pretty negative about myself, right? It's telling me like, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. I feel like it's mostly trying to protect me in a way so that I don't get hurt again. But a lot of the times I feel like it doesn't serve me, but it's telling me stories, these narratives. I don't know about anyone else out there. I feel like most of my whole life, I've been seeing my life from like the eyes of an audience, or as if my life is like a movie, and I kind of lean more towards being negative. It's a really hard habit to get out of because all my life I've been just telling myself negative stories just as a means to protect myself.
Yeah.
There's one recent incident that I experienced recently with a new friend I made. It was probably a few months back. I helped this Japanese girl move into Hawaii, and I figured like, okay, I wasn't that attracted to her enough to make real moves on her, but I did like her, but not in a relationship type of way because I wanted to actually just be friends first, right? So anyways, long story short, we hang out every once in a while. She doesn't really reach out to me, but one day, it was like two days ago, the other day, I went to Don Quixote and I was shopping for calamansi, and she was walking together with some guy
Ooh.
shopping, and then I was like, "Hey, how's it going? Long time no see." And she was like, "Derek," and like she looked so surprised. And
Yeah.
while we were kind of reconnecting, her boyfriend kind of strayed away, and I was like,
Did you know if that was her boyfriend?
I thought initially I thought it was her coworker or something because they weren't all dressed up or anything, right? Like she came in with her uniform and he was kind of just in regular clothes, so I thought it was like a coworker.
Yeah.
But then I was like, "Oh, hey, who's that guy?" And she was like, "Oh, wait, hold on. Let's go meet him." And she was like, "Oh, this is my boyfriend." And I
man.
was like, in my head, I was like, I didn't even know you're looking for a boyfriend. And in my mind, I was like, I was thinking of her as a potential partner, right? Maybe later on down the line after we establish a friendship.
Yeah.
I asked her, "Oh, how did you guys meet?" And she said, "Oh, through Bumble." And I was like in my head, I didn't even know you're looking for a boyfriend, right?
And let alone a dating app too.
Yeah, literally, that's what it was for. Intentionally, it's to date, right? Like she was legit looking for a boyfriend, and at that time, I was my inner critic, my inner voice was telling me that I wasn't good enough to be chosen, and the stories came in. There's all these stories of, oh, is this why she hasn't been hitting me up? Is this why that I haven't gotten any reciprocated feelings from her? She was like looking for a boyfriend, but just not me. It wasn't me. I had this little period of time where I was kind of grieving a little bit. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it's very easy to kind of react in an emotional way and tell yourself a story that you're so used to telling yourself, right? The negative belief that you had that protected you when you were growing up. It sounds like there was kind of a misalignment with your guys's like dating timelines. I mean, you weren't looking for a relationship, and I guess now apparently she was looking for a relationship. So
Yeah, it just
I don't know, things didn't align.
for me. It's like if she was and she was interested in me, she would make it more clear, right?
Yeah. It would
But-
be obvious, and I guess that's how you probably felt like you weren't enough.
Right, like it just wasn't chosen. But like after that period of just feeling it out, I just realized, you know what, you're right. Like it wasn't aligned. We weren't on the same page. It means nothing about my worth or value.
Yeah.
It was just not aligned, and that's it. That's the story. That's a better story to tell myself rather than me telling myself I'm not good enough.
Yeah. And off the record, I told you about something I discovered through ChatGPT when I was also venting about how my dating experiences or my dating history hasn't been as fruitful as I expected. But ChatGPT gave me a really good practical advice that like your dating history and your value have no correlation with each other. Like they're not the same thing because everyone's value is unique and different, but dating is more so about compatibility. It's about the circumstance, whatever is each person's timeline, if they're looking for someone versus if they're not, what their preferences are. There's just so much different variables besides a person's worth.
Right. It just all has to line up at the same time, right? It's just I feel like it's a lot about luck too, right? To be
Yeah.
all of those like combinations of timing, circumstance.
There's a factor of luck too. Yeah.
It's just by chance.
Yeah,
right?
but I feel like people make it very popular. People romanticize the idea of like value, like, oh, like this person is out of that person's league, or they both look good together, or something very surface level. It's kind of like a measure of somebody's like dating level or something, which is ridiculous.
I am very, very guilty of that, honestly, because like my whole dating life, I've always thought, oh, I'm only gonna be chosen if I can show some type of value to that person, right?
Yeah.
And I definitely have to change that story because I know it's not true. It's just like you said, it's more about compatibility.
Yeah, a healthy, balanced relationship is compatibility.
Right. There's also another time where the negative stories affected me or almost stopped me in my tracks. And I'm talking about my upcoming Japan trip. I have this friend that I have a connection with. We don't really often talk. We kind of lost connection along the way, and I was thinking about how I wanted to reach out to her, and the stories in my head were saying, "Oh, she's not gonna respond to me because we didn't talk for a long time. I don't think she wants to hang out with me anymore." Blah blah blah. It was all going downhill from there, and I had this pause where I was like, I'm just gonna reach out and see what happens, and so I did, and I had a very very great positive response from her. She was like all excited, all for it. She was saying how, oh, she's excited to see me, and like from then on I was like, wow, like if I didn't do anything,
Oh.
that wouldn't have happened. That wouldn't have turned out the way I imagined it, right? To be.
Complete opposite of the story you were telling yourself.
Exactly. So this is the problem though. It's always going to this negative side, negative bias of telling me these stories that aren't true.
What's our mindful reframing?
Yes, our mindful reframing here. When you find yourself in the spiral of negative inner talk, realize that it's just a story. A narrative that you are telling yourself. It's not true, just a delusion. You are able to change those stories, and you definitely should by consciously creating better narratives. These all are all delusions anyways. Why not just make them a more better, positive, self-serving story in your inner world? You take better actions if you tell yourself better stories. What do you think about that?
I like it. I like that there's a sense of control that we have, right? Because if we feel like we have nothing to like control when there's so many different circumstances and, like you said, luck, we're going to feel hopeless in our dating lives. We're not going to like even try or even like reach out to that person that we could potentially or possibly like connect with. So it's definitely the stories we tell ourselves.
Definitely. Well, there you go, guys. That's your new side quest.
And if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, be sure to give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. If you're watching this on YouTube, give us a like as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you again for listening, and this is your new Side Quest podcast.
Side quest complete.